is though.
How's it going, Mark? You all right?
Doing aye. How are you? You had a good day?
Living the dream, eh? Walking in
Eh?
circles.
Aye. Been busy?
Aye, hectic, mate. Hectic, man.
Aye.
Everything all right?
Aye, no bother. This is thanks very much for joining in. This is kind of like the I'm going to say I want to say the first, but it's the first one this year that I say we, it's only me, that we've done with this type of thing. And previously we used to go to do these things face to face.
Aye.
We used to do like I keep saying we, but it's only me. We used to go and film with bands like before and after gigs, or in the studio, or on a video shoot or something. But obviously we can't do that right now. So here we are virtually.
It's weird. It's weird how kind of used to this you get after a year.
Aye.
You know what I mean?
It's become normal, if you like. Yeah. It's like right at the very start, it was really weird, right, to be speaking to different people or different, all this kind of stuff. And then it was kind of like, oh yeah, whatever, Zoom.
I went a bit Star Trek. You know what I mean?
Feature.
Aye.
So I thought we'd just have a chat basically. I've been studying. I've been studying other people doing this kind of thing recently, and it's ranged from almost like a scripted question and answer session to like a full blown sort of entertainment show, that type of thing. So let's try and do something in between. So the first question that I have for you is basically around your musicianship. Can you remember like a time, like when you were younger, right, that you wanted to learn an instrument? What was the first instrument that you learned?
Right, this is actually quite weird because this is going to sound like a total bullshit story, right? But my earliest memory, right, was in Methil Hill, my parents' house, right?
Okay.
It was an 80s. I must have been about maybe 5-year-old. I was a proper young kid, right? And my dad had one of these hi-fi units in the corner with the disco lights above them, and the lights went on and off to the music. You know what I mean? And it was the total shit in the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And his hi-fi unit, I had like the glass cabinet for the vinyl and the tape deck. I'll never forget. I had these
tape deck.
Like I got like the metal levers were the buttons to play and pause and stuff.
Aye.
And I had headphones on with a curly cable, and I always remember that like I couldn't sit too far away because my neck didn't have the strength for the cable. And I was listening to the Dire Straits' "Brothers in Arms."
Oh, good Lord! Right.
My dad, and it was the riff for Money for Nothing, right?
Okay, yeah.
So the riff for Money for Nothing, I just fell in love with it as like a kid. It's one of my earliest memories. I remember like telling my auntie and stuff, I'm going to play with Dire Straits with a guitar and stuff. You know what I mean? Funnily enough, though, right? Even though I was a kid, I still knew the song was a load of shite.
Right. Okay.
I would rewind it after the intro and what I listened to the intro again, because once you start about fridges and moving microwaves and that, it's like, what's that about? But and weirdly, I never really got into playing guitar until I was like 14, 15.
Right.
And my dad played a bit of guitar, and I was like, show me how to play Money for Nothing, and he couldn't play it. I didn't even learn to play it till I was like 24 or something like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So my dad showed me a couple of tunes on the guitar, and I kind of just fell in love with it. And then back then, it was all like, before I got into guitar music, it was all like sort of the techno scene, rave, and all that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, I remember like Nirvana being out and being like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like Oasis got really popular. And I think like, weirdly enough, with like Oasis, I didn't really get into like their really big main tunes. It was when I found all the B-sides. It was like finding hidden treasure. You know what I mean?
It is, yes.
It's beautiful songwriting. You know what I mean? So I then started digging into more of my dad's records, and I was finding like Cream, Led Zeppelin records and everything. And it was the same hi-fi, actually, same hi-fi. You know, go to the glass cabinet, and it just all kind of spiraled for there, really, Mark. Like I just done nothing but play guitar since I was about 15.
Right, aye, that's cool. I know what you mean about the loving the intro but not the song. I felt the same. I felt the same way about "Sweet Child of Mine" by Guns N' Roses.
Oh, totally, man.
Started off really well, and it just goes downhill after he starts singing. Then forget it.
It's like I know it's like Meg singing it. You know what I mean?
I'll let it know. We've gone downhill ever since. Aye, so that's really cool. It's cool. I don't think there's many people that I've spoken to who actually learned guitar when they were younger that didn't have like a parental or like a family member that didn't do the same thing.
Absolutely, man.
It's like a learned behavior from the people around you. You're product of your environment.
Weirdly, I'm the youngest of 3 kids, and I'm the only one that plays music. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I think what it is as well is like, see if you remember being at the school, right, and you kind of got chucked into music class, and you maybe didn't know what you're doing or what.
Aye.
You would pass about with a keyboard and eventually find something. Mm-hmm. Find like 3 mice. Even it doesn't have to be anything complex. You'd find a tune of some sort.
Yes.
A guitar, because you think it more 3-dimensional. You look at a guitar and it's like, where the fuck do I start with this thing? You know what I mean? Well, having somebody that already can just show you something as what gives you access, really. Because I teach guitar that's what I basically do. Is I make music and teach guitar.
Okay.
And I noticed that, like, how confused it reminds me of myself when I see people when they start, they're just like, it's like they're inferior. You know what I mean?
Aye.
Kind of remind them, it's like that doesn't get a guitar till you hit it. It's just an ornament to you.
Aye. I'm thinking about I started to learn guitar. I must have been in my 20s at the time, and I always thought I can't do this because my fingers are too big, like my too wide, and I couldn't fit my fingers inside the frets, and I was getting like this and all sorts. So I like, okay, let's forget about this. I'll find something to pluck on the first string. But then a while later, I thought, like, okay, I'm going to learn to play bass because it's a bit more comfortable for my hands. I've got a bass guitar behind me. Can you see it?
There you go. Is that a jazz bass? Is it a P bass? Is it a jazz? It looks like it's got a jazz neck on it.
Aye, I think so. It's a Fender thing.
It looks like it's got a jazz neck on it.
It's been sitting there for ages. I haven't picked it up for ages. But then somebody taught me how to play Another One Bites the Dust. You know, a really simple sort of bass sort of thing. And I was amazed because it's all played on the one string. And you're like, okay, I'm a guitarist now. I can play the bass.
That's what you need to do.
One of the things that, talking about instruments and things, one of the things that struck me about your first tune that you had out, Thoughts of Fools, was the piano. You don't often hear these days like an artist or a band who intro their songs or use that piano sound in their music. It's really sort of straight in with the riffs and, you know, on the guitars and stuff. Was that a conscious thing for you, or is it just how those particular tunes were written or developed?
It's a weird thing talking about writing process. And you know yourself, as some people kind of get lost in their own shit and they always try and make it mysterious as if there's magic to it. It's like what I was doing, right? So a lot of the people I was teaching, I was basically saying to them, listen, keep them doing the stuff that you're good at, it's a good thing, but you didn't learn nothing new doing that. You learn something new doing the stuff you think you can't do yet.
Okay.
So see, like back to what you said earlier about I can't do that, it's like you have to try and pursue that thing where you just add the word yet on it, because we can learn anything if you've got enough time and patience. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like the stuff that I do. I might get away with being egotistic to the wrong people and like making it out like I'm super intelligent because I play a lot of instruments. But the truth is I'm a fucking idiot. I've just done it for a long time. You know what I mean? So it's like what I've done was I thought, right, I'm going to try and learn how to maybe play the piano well enough to write songs in it. So it gives me like a different angle for trying to inspire myself to write.
Right.
fine with me teaching guitar and everything all the time. I'm running the guitar all the time, and it's like I kind of lost that thing where you're finding music. So on the guitar, before I knew what things were, you would play a couple of things and be like, oh man, amazing, I've just found something that I don't know what it is, it just sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But then my brain just goes, oh, that's just a different way to play a C chord. And it's like
right,
it's too much of it, and it takes the mystery out of it.
Yeah.
So I want to find that again. So I looked at like drums and piano and stuff, but then I started to see that as I was being able to pull off the parts that I had in my head, it gave me confidence to keep playing them. So I started getting a bit better. So it's like, I mean, didn't ask me to play drums in another band or piano for another band because it'd be fucking horrendous if I've not wrote it myself. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't call myself, I wouldn't charge somebody money for playing the piano for them, but I'd charge them for playing the guitar, if that makes sense.
Right, aye.
But with the writing process, sometimes I would just be bored and drunk in the house and just muck about with stuff. And I find like, it's like, see if you get in a conversation with someone you just meet in a bar or a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're looking for a conversation, but somebody says something that just spurs everything. You want to know more. You know what I mean?
Right, aye.
Writing music's like that. You either come up with a lyrical phrase or something on an instrument and you go, oh, wait a minute, what is that? And you follow it up because you feel this need. It's not like you sit and go, thou shalt write. You know what I mean? You always go with some fucking horrendous songs when you do that. And most of them are just relationship complaints. You know what I mean?
It's I know exactly what you mean. You've got visions of like someone who's trying to write a song, trying to find their happy space. They're sitting down at the window with a notepad. Right, okay, what will I write a song about today? That type of thing.
So
I'm
kind of shooting in the dark. You know what I mean? And if it happens, it's like, oh, you'll naturally jump on it if something happens. You know what I mean? And with the piano, I was basically just, I think like the riff at the start of Thoughts of Fools. I was in my house with Gemma, and she wears glasses, and I made this really funny song to make her laugh, and it was called Specky Bitch, and I was just playing it to her, right? And she was like, "Fuck off, you!" And like, I laughed. But the way the piano sounded in it, I was like, I actually think that's quite a cool riff on the piano.
Yeah.
Later on, when I was writing stuff, I thought, what was that thing I done on the piano again? And I was like, that's it there, and then it grew into what it was. So that started with the piano thing, but really just as a drunk joke. You know what I mean? I could make it mysterious and like I studied this and but really I was just being a dickhead when I was drunk and remember.
So it's actually quite organic and it happened because it just happened.
See, for instance, with this, Mark, I always think you can say what you like and do what you like, right? But the truth's the truth. No matter what authority you have. So it's like, you notice when you arranged to do this with me, I never asked you if you got any prearranged questions or I didn't try and
I would have said no.
Anyway, right, because it just makes it fake. You know what I mean?
I've been down that route before, and it just didn't work for me at all. I don't like the scripty thing at all now. Plus, I'd never, when I've done like a film before, some of them are on YouTube. I'm never in them. I've been behind the camera and replaced my voice with captions and stuff like that. So this is kind of like a first for me as well, because nobody really knows what I look like. But in the editing, I'll blank it out. But it's I know exactly what you mean. As far as like the creation thing becomes, it's like
honestly doing it. So that's why
you just hear something.
Totally. I mean, I'll go. I mean, put it this way, right? When I was in my old band, The Lost Generation, I don't know if you ever seen us or anything.
I heard of them, yes, but I didn't.
But so
not familiar.
You'll be glad you never came to see us. but like I was always driven doing music, and I kind of burnt myself out with a wee bit. And it wasn't really so much like lack of success or anything. I've never had that with music. I've never felt like I need something else for music to make it worthwhile, because the fact that I get to do it is brilliant in itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything else is a bonus. It's just a cherry on the top. So, but I was getting to the point where it was starting to feel like work. You know what I mean?
Right, okay.
Guys in the band were falling out, and then somebody wasn't want to drive, and it was their stunt, and it just became this big fucking hassle. You know what I mean? And I thought, you know what? Fuck this. We'll just jack it, remain pals. And I put my head into getting back into studying martial arts a lot, because that was like my second was always that.
Cool.
So from that, found myself a wee bit in there. And then this album that I done now was just me getting back into a writing process. I didn't intentionally go, I'm going to make music and I'm going to put a record out. I started doing that thing where I thought, well, actually, it's a development thing. I'll look at other instruments. And it just kind of grew into this thing, you know.
Aye. And that's cool. It's like you can almost say things like you can go down that road of saying like, oh, that was meant to happen, or you know that this happened because this happened, and it's kind of snowballed and it went that way. That's the direction it took me, sort of thing.
That was pretty much fun.
Aye. So with regard to your writing and like your lyrics, is that the same thing as the music side as well? Do you hear something, or do you feel something, or do you know something that sparks that idea?
Aye, something happens. I think sometimes if I've got a piece of music, I'll find a vocal melody before I'll find words.
Aye.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because although I'm a songwriter, I mean, I'm a better guitar player than I am a singer and stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking in notes quite a lot. You know what I mean? I'm thinking melody. And if I find a melody to go with it, then I'll put words to it. Sometimes if I find particular words, I'll try and make a melody for them. You know what I mean?
Yes. Aye.
There's no real starting point for me. I mean, sometimes I'll think of a phrase, or somebody will say something and it'll spark something, and you just kind of jot it down and keep it. Because it's like when you go to make your dinner, right? If you're actually cooking something from scratch, you've got all this stuff in your cupboard that's there if you might use it, and it just comes in handy at the right time. Can you have that paprika in there that's maybe solid at the bottom there?
Two of them.
Yeah, like that. I've got loads of wee bits of music like that are quite good on their own right, but they're just not part of anything yet. So sometimes it lets me snatch them back later on. I mean, I did find like this record that I done the new, I mean, the whole album, that was a different process for me again, because I never wrote everything on guitar. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
And what I tried to do is I sat and I was reading books and watching films, and I kind of thought, right, I'll set myself a kind of challenge of writing songs on their own right, but they sound like they would fit in a movie. So it's like cinematic. And then that snowballed into me thinking, I'll write an album like a film, so it's got an intro and an outro and 3 acts in the middle. You know what I mean? It just grew.
Okay.
So the whole, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that's what people should take for the record, but like the first track on the record was the first track I wrote pretty much. And it was like, it's got this sort of weird intro part to it where you're maybe about 2 minutes into that track before you even have a clue what the record's going to sound like. You know what I mean? If you listen to every other song, the start of that one, you would have no idea it was a part of the same record.
Yes.
And I kind of took that concept to like, see a lot of films that you get where something just starts, you're like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
Like the first season of True Detective, and it hits this certain point and you go, oh, right. You know what I mean? Right. So I tried to do that, and then the last song on it would be the one I would see as being the end credits. And then it's got the 3 acts in between. So that's why there's 11 songs on it.
Right. Okay.
So it's got 9 that's 3 each in the middle. You know what I mean? But that's the full digital version. On the vinyl one, it's got 10. There was one track that wasn't going to be on the album that I eventually ended up using. And that was to complete the story. But the reason why it's no on the vinyl, and it's a bonus track, is there's literally no enough time to fit it on the vinyl. Because the album was like 47 minutes long, including that. You know what I mean? So I could could not vinyl. So it became a bonus track.
Aye. Aye. So is that what you had in your head, that the album was going to be like a start to finish piece, rather than just a collection of songs?
Aye, I didn't want it to be like as you're saying, a collection of songs, like just a body of work that's taken for random things. You know what I mean? I also didn't want everything to sound too similar on it, though.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yes. And I found myself doing that, writing a track and going, wait a fucking minute, the middle of that sounds like this bit and this other one. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I had it to the point where I was thrown around probably between 14 and 18 tracks, something like that. Call it 15. I was throwing them around. And eventually you kind of find yourself drawn to the ones that you should finish. So there was other tracks I was like, finish this one, and then couldn't find anything for it. And then the 11 that I ended up using were the ones that basically just finished right. And I was like, actually, that tells the story. I didn't need anything else.
So
sorry, Mark.
No, I'm just going to say, like, so were you looking for things that that sounded right for what you were doing for the whole piece.
That's
and finishing
it.
the songs. So they fitted in.
Aye. Slotting. It's like, oh, that song fits right into that part of the concept. But there's other stuff that I've got, loads of other stuff that I've got that didn't make the record.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily because I thought the songs weren't good enough. They just didn't fit with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the wider, I mean, the truth is, there's only 3 things you end up doing with it. I wouldn't try and bring them out on another record because I didn't like when bands do that when their new album sounds like a bolt onto the last one. It's a thing I've always
version.
Liked. So
extra CD.
I've always kind of liked that, like bands like Primal Scream and Arctic Monkeys. I think they've got things in common where you can hear the band evolving through each record.
Yes.
They're not bolted onto the last one. It's like a different band. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And although some of the albums I prefer to others, I think that's a good quality to have as a musician, is just take a left turn, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I might use them for B-sides or something if I think I really want people to hear them. I might chuck them out for nothing. Or I might bin them all together or break them apart and turn them into something else. I might find something new. I might go, the chorus of that one fits on this better. So
maybe when we get back to gigging and you play these songs, you might get some demand for where can I find this tune, sort of thing, you know what I mean?
That was one weird thing that I couldn't do. Is like, because normally what I would do with a band is we'd rehearse songs and I'd write songs, we'd put them together, and then you basically just kind of road test them a bit and you make a record later on. You know what I mean? Where this was completely back to front. Absolutely back to front. So it was like I recorded it as I was writing it.
Right.
So I was always sitting in front of I've got like a home studio. I was always sitting recording everything as I was doing it and then taking bits out and adding bits in and whatnot. And I've not been able to do a gig yet. Ridiculous.
Oh, you must be raging like many other people. It's ridiculous, eh? So
it's mad.
So your second tune that you had out, Keep Moving, it kind of goes with what you've been saying about like the different sounds, the different feels of different things, because it's completely different from the first one. Was that a conscious thing to release that one as opposed to something else that you'd recorded at that point?
Well, I'm a big believer in trusting people that are good at what they do.
Right.
I mean, I'll always make my own final decisions, but I'm always welcome to throwing ideas to other people, like, you know what I mean? And my radio plugger, Danny Watson, the lovely guy, like, we're throwing around ideas for what singles would be. And there's a track on the album called Pour It Down that when I let my mates hear it, they're like, that needs to be one of your singles.
Okay.
And I thought, well, nah, I'm not really sure. And Danny was like, no, I wouldn't do that either.
Ever.
He's like, he says, if you think about like Keep Moving, and I was like, well, actually, it's quite nice because it's no like a song. It's like cinematic a wee bit.
Right, yes.
It's have like verses. It's just like backing vocals battered through it. You know what I mean? So I thought, well, actually, that's a nice wee left turn. So people that get it will really get it, and people that don't, it's cool if they didn't get that, man. It's fine. So I'm not trying to grab everybody I can with everything I'm bringing out. You know what I mean? Where I like to keep things for an album. So see, for instance, anybody that's bought my album, you're buying it because you want to find something else in it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? There's nothing worse, right? When you go and buy a record and everything that you've not heard that's on it is total shit. You know what I mean? It's like fucking bollock. See where it got me? I remember like I was about 16, 17-year-old and I was in Denby's boxing club hitting a bag, and that Reoffender came on the radio that Travis brought out for the 11 Memories, some album, right?
12 Memories, yeah.
12 Memories, and I thought, what a fucking track, man. I was like, this is a great track. And it was when you would go and buy a CD at Woolies for like 16 quid. You know what I mean? Which in days, that'd be like $30 or something for an album, which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
And I went and bought it, and every other song in it was total dog shit. You know what I mean? And to me, anyway, it's like,
yeah. I have to agree with you about that one. As a kind of like a fan of Travis up to that point,
Good band.
Yeah, exactly. I'd had all their other albums, and when I hit, I lived in Spain at the time, and I bought one of their copies, and I was like, "What is this? Please don't do this to me, Travis. It's not it's not it's not a thing. It's not a thing that you do."
I was hoping for like the whole album to have a similar type of vibe to it, and I was like, I'm going to be right into this, like, and I was just like, nonsense.
So, oh no, so disappointing,
eh? So I've tried to keep tracks on the album that, me personally, I think are better tracks than some of the singles. You know what I mean? Just because I think it's just really the honourable thing to do, Mark. You know what I mean?
Aye. It's interesting that when you were talking about like the cinematic thing before a little bit, because I'd actually just yesterday and today I listened to the 3 tracks.
Oh, you've got this. All right, that's right enough.
Yeah, I listened to the 3 singles like one after the other a few times, and there actually is quite I don't know what the word is, like a feel to them. There's something in there that's more than just voice and instruments. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's an atmosphere that you've created in those tunes, whether it be like the instrumentation in the back. I don't know, in the mix. I don't know what it is.
A lot of that. There is a lot of
it created that creates a real kind of like something that's a bit different, particularly on the second single as well, because I mean I really liked them both, and it wasn't that, like, I can see what you mean by some people will be listening to like Thoughts of Fools, and then when Keep Moving comes out and they'll go, hang on a minute, what's this? What's expecting this? What's this? But I think that's I think that's really good. I think that's really great that the bands and the artists do that, because, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted a copy of your album, is because there's bound to be more like that on there, surprises and different things, and
hopefully that type
of thing. You know what I mean?
That's been my intention. You know what I mean? That's been my intention when I've done it. So I mean, hopefully that does happen. But you know what it's like, self-markets, like everybody's got their own opinion on it, and everybody's entitled to it. You know what I mean? I don't get arsy if somebody's like, I thought that would be rubbish. I use it as a plate for the dog. I'm like,
but yeah, I do. I love that kind of thing. So the album is out in, what is it? Is it March, April?
26th of March it comes out.
26th of March. Okay.
And not intentionally, but I think it's like just about the anniversary of the lockdown.
Right. Okay. Possibly, yes. Possibly is.
I was like, oh, you're fucking joking. And they were like, no, that's a good thing. I was like, no, it's no, because every idiot artist that thinks they can write a song about the lockdown is going to bring a bloody record out in that day. You know what I mean? So,
the anniversary edition of the... Totally, just market it as that.
I mean, even like a lot of the songs on it, they kind of sound a wee bit like they've been written in lockdown.
Okay.
A lot of it's about like this psychology and distress and confidence and just different mental states. You know what I mean? And I thought I didn't really want to jump on that because I think it's shit when there's a crisis and somebody tries to cash in on it.
Right.
You know
okay.
Because any idiot try to sing a song about a face mask or coronavirus, it's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Get away.
Can you imagine? Right. Okay. Oh, no.
So it's like the airing of the single that's coming out now.
Yeah.
A lot of people were like, "Oh, so was that written in lockdown?" I was like, "No, it wasn't. That was written about when I was fucked in the head with taking too many drugs when I was 20."
Aye.
So, and like, I mean, we've done a really cool video for it. I got the same director for the other videos to do it, but we're also limited to what we can do. So I was like, right, I moved house twice in like a week and a half. It was an absolute...
Right, okay. I think I've seen some of your posts about that, yeah. It
was a total bloody joke. So I moved into this house and I was getting dicked about, so I just got my money back and moved back. But in between moving, I was supposed to be filming a video. So I was like, well, why don't we just do it in my flat that I'm moving back into? You know what I mean? So we just kind of set up in there. And it looks like it kind of nods a wee bit to like everybody being in isolation. But the truth is that was going to be the video concept, was going to be me on my own anyway. You know what I mean? Because there was wee points when we were kind of trying to structure it. It was like, "Oh, you think we should this?" And I was like, "Look, we're not doing anything that points towards COVID. Isolation's cool. That's just maybe a good coincidence, but nah." You know what I mean? I just think there's something just. I think people that do that go, "Oh, there's a big thing now." It's a fair point that you might write a song about a big event that's going on because it's relative to you. That's cool. But trying to force a tune out of a crisis, it's like, it's that typical ego musician shit that it's just like, this isn't about you, mate. It's about everybody else. It's not about you and your bloody song. Get what I mean?
Yeah.
Because musicians are terrible at that. And it's the big ego thing, you know what I mean?
That's right, aye. That's going back to what we were saying before about someone who's a songwriter sitting down in their wee space, thinking of how they're going to write this song. Let's write a song about like COVID, and how it feels for me, and that kind of thing.
And the weird thing, I think, like, see, like, it's like the harder you try, the worse you get, right? So
yeah,
people have wrote some amazing pieces of music and wrote some great stories and made films and that have probably changed a lot of people's lives. I mean, music completely changed my life. You know what I mean? Again, and some guy I've never met that you see the picture on the TV, or some woman that's a songwriter that wrote somebody's song or whatever, they're responsible for a big, massive change in my life, even knowing it. You know what I mean? And I think there's something really fucking cool about that. But the reason why that could happen is that wasn't what they were trying to do. You know what I mean? So
that's right. Aye.
I'm going to write a song to change the world. It's like, no. You know what I mean? It's not going to fucking happen. That happens by accident. No, you can't do that on purpose. You know what I mean?
Sometimes it just hits a chord, doesn't it, with lots of people? You can never tell. Aye. So there's a line in one of your press release things that says that it's the output of a reformed character.
It's funny because it makes me like a drug addict.
Would you know what that means or what that refers to, or is it just?
I'm not really sure. I mean, I think, like, I mean, I'm quite open. You probably read that if you read any of my press stuff or that. I didn't hide anything. I didn't see the point in it. You know what I mean? So I think, like, because I kind of drew on some personal experiences when I had really shit ones, maybe read too much into that and think, man, this boy's been in a crisis till he's wrote this record. It's like, well, actually, my life's been good for a while before I wrote that record. That's why I had the confidence to sit down and do it. You know what I mean? But I did go on fairly experiences for a lot of it. Like, so I think that lines probably came for that. I don't know if it's something that maybe somebody likes dressing up to make it sound more intriguing.
Aye.
I mean, I've always been the same idiot that you've seen. I mean, if you met me 10 years ago doing the pub, I'm still just the same idiot. You know what I mean?
There's every chance that we've actually been in the same room together at some point in a gig somewhere. So you never know. What
happen soon enough anyway, mate. You know what I mean?
Aye. I'm just I'm with the gig situation. I think it's fairly shocking. The current state of affairs, but there has been things in the meantime to sort of tide people over. People have been playing online. People have been playing in sort of people's gardens and all this kind of stuff, and like this kind of thing. Have you been involved in any sort of online festival or at-home gig or something like that? Played for people? No.
Nah. I made a conscious decision. This is going to sound like I'm being an arsehole as well. I'm not trying to do that, right?
No.
But it's back to that thing where, don't get me wrong, I've seen a lot of quality work with people doing that.
Aye.
You know what I mean? I thought like the boys for the Shambolics fucking nailed it with the lockdown stuff. I thought they're brilliant, mate. You know what I mean?
Covers and stuff, yeah, brilliant.
It was that thing. There was no real ego to it. I was just like, this is what we're doing. This is because this is what we do, and I thought it was fucking brilliant. But there's a lot of people being put in shit because they obviously just feel like they're not getting enough attention. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Here's me fucking guitar again. Somebody send me a message and tell me I'm fucking great. You know what I mean? And I thought, well, I'm not going to fucking do that because, one, I didn't need to do it, and two, if I want to do something, I really, really want to do it right. And because I've not been able to gig this, and like, I mean, there's guys and the bandways that's working on it. I don't know if you know them. Do you know like Gil Allen, bass player, Liam Saunders, keyboard player?
There's Liam, the guy that plays with the Cognac Twins.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye. Fucking tremendous, right? Lee Burgoyne, he was the drummer in the Ray Summers, and he played the drums with Davey Horn solo stuff, and he's one of my good mates. And the cool thing was, I let them listen to the record, but just before I got it mastered, right? To get a bit of feedback before I maybe pulled the plug on it. But really what my intention was, right? And it's like when your mate's a plumber and you go to them, look, do you know a plumber? You're really just wanting them to fucking do it. You know? So I was like, what do you think? What do you think of that? And so I was kind of eventually like, well, if they're into it, I fucking really want them to band together. You know? And every single one of them separately was like, do you need a bass player? Do you need a keyboard player? And I was like, fucking yes. Right. So they were into it, they want to do it. But the shame about it is they're all fucking better at like playing the drums, piano, bass than I've ever done it. So we managed to get a couple of rehearsals in before we kind of like when it kind of opened up a wee bit. We managed to get a couple of rehearsals in, and a lot of stuff changed when we done it for the better. We tried to do that stuff where we went, right, we'll make it like the record, and it was just like, it's like this just seems. You ever seen Elbow live? You ever seen Elbow?
Many times.
Elbow sound fucking amazing, right? And I remember seeing them live, and I was like, that sounds fucking amazing. But if I shut my eyes, it's just the same. There's nothing really new about it. It doesn't need anything new, which is cool. So it's not a bad point. And you know yourself how much effort it takes to get that sonic sound live that they've got. Like, wow. But I kind of like going to see bands when something new happens.
Yes.
You feel it's this is something I've seen that nobody else is getting to see. This is my wee reports. You know what I mean? So we kind of just went, fuck it, let's just jam the tracks rather than, you know what I mean? And we should have done it for the start, because the bottom line is they guys are fucking amazing at what they do.
Yeah.
And everything changed a wee bit, and I got a bit better. So if I'm going to do something online, it's like, well, I'd want to do it with them, and I can't. I can't really do it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be able to pull it off, right?
Aye. It's I was waiting to have pity on you there and say it's a shame, but you know what I mean. It's annoying basically, and it's frustrating.
It is, man.
Everybody can't get together, sort of in that way.
Absolutely, but I'm a great believer as in like you can't turn the shite into sugar. You still got to work with what you've got. I mean, so like. I don't know if you've seen, like, did you see the session that I done for the Scotsman? When I done like the unplugged version of like Keep Moving. Right? So the Scotsman got a hold of me and they're like, you want to do like a lockdown version of your single? And I was like, straight away, I'm just like the guy that's like, aye, I'll do it. No bother. You know what I mean? So I started doing it and I was like, shit, how the fuck am I going to get away with playing this acoustic guitar, man? You know what I mean? So I had to sit and think about it. And that it all kind of came together. I was just filming me taking takes at it and just patched it together. And I thought, well, that'll do. That's all right. But I'm not going to keep doing that with every track that I'm going to put out, because it's kind of, that would turn it for something that I think is quite cool. It's something that's like back to that thing again. It's all about me. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to be the fucking Stevie Wonder body. You know what I mean? And that is who I am. So I don't know. I don't want to do that. I don't want to keep trying to feel like I'm proving myself every time I'm sticking something out.
Yeah.
Here's me on the angle. Here's me on the trumpet. And it's like, oh, I don't want to kill it. You know what I mean? I might end up doing a version of the Aaron here. There's a lot of different ways I can play it as well, but I think like just purely because of lockdown, I might do something like that. But I'll probably totally change the way the whole thing sounds, rather than just try to play the song. I'm going to do that. You know what I mean? So I realise because it's my single, I think it'd be quite rude to go, well, I'm not going to do a pretty cool version about it. You know what I mean? It's pretty arrogant.
Yeah.
It's an unfortunate circumstance that'll probably still just have to be loads of versions of me again, just because of the circumstance. But I'm not going to go and try and like do these online gigs where I'm doing it all the time. It's like people will be sick of the fucking sight of me. You know what I mean? So I think one ironic thing is like everything I'm doing at the moment, it's all worked back to front. I recorded it as I wrote it. I end up getting a publishing deal before I've done a gig. The album's selling brilliant. Everything's gone really well, and it's like this is all the wrong way around. You know what I mean? It's usually you do it away. You know what I mean? So
do you feel like, even though that's brilliant and that's happened for you, do you feel like you've been cheated out of getting out there, and
I thought about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of other people are, but for me,
Mm-hmm.
I think it let me focus on the right stuff at the right time.
Okay. Yes.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so I think I've got this weird, nice coincidence in the order in which things have worked for me, where when I do start doing gigs, people turning up are going to know it.
Right. Okay.
I mean, rather than trying to get people to know the songs at a gig
Mm-hmm.
and then get the album,
Mm-hmm.
and then your gig get a bit better later on because people are chanting a few tunes
Aye,
back to
so
you.
folk are going to be like more familiar with the songs and
Aye,
sing along and whatever, you know what I mean? That kind of thing, yeah.
And I've not organised the gig yet. I mean, I was teetering with like maybe looking at like the Liquid Room or something like that, try to do something in there. So it's big enough but small enough. You know what I mean? I don't want to like saturate it and just do this big massive thing where most people are just coming out because they've no been to a gig for ages. You know what I mean?
Aye. Mm-hmm.
So I thought like I probably think first gig I want to probably do is maybe about 500-600. You know what I mean? And put all the work into it.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than going, look, I'm going to go and play up the road there, and then next week I'm going to play down the road there, and then I'm going to do. I think, look, I'll just do one cool thing, make everything great about it, get the light show right, just make it so it's like an event. You know what I mean? Invite other people to play it, probably, and no tell people that are buying the tickets, so they feel like they're being rewarded as well. You know what I mean? So I've not done this thing at the moment where I've like booked that, because I'm like, well, we're going to have to reorganise that, whatever I booked now anyway. And it's just kind of dicking people around. So I thought I'll just keep myself out of the live thing now. And when it looks like the time's right, when there's a bit of sort of more solid information on things, saying, look, this is more likely to go ahead than it's no. You're no chance.
Yeah.
Then it's right, we'll put the organisation into that. And by that time, the record's out. I'm not having to sit and focus on all this work with it.
Aye.
I mean, at the moment, I'm writing the second one and recording it now anyway, but it gives me something to like really, it's like, this is something I want to do, but it's not something I'm organising along with other stuff. This is something I'm going to drive into and I'm going to make it right. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
I mean, if you're going to ask people for their money to come and see it, you're going to feel like it's worth something. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Everybody was great for me. I mean, like the GoFundMe thing really got me off the ground with the situation we're in. People have done that for really no reward. I get my name on your record, but for all you know, it could have been a load of shite. So people were just generally just being putting a bit of confidence in me and just being kind, really, Mark. So I'm not going to repay that by going, I'll tell you what, there's a gig ticket up the road there. You can't get in at the back because the fucking bar's shut. I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? Come on, I'm not going to repay people back with that. I'm going to make it right.
Aye, that'll be cool. There's something to look forward to anyway, because it will happen. But we just don't know when. So the new single is out on Friday.
Friday. Friday.
By the time this goes out, it'll be out now. Go and buy it.
Right.
Possibly.
Right. Oh, go ahead, get your fucking arse on your phone. Go and get...
Download it now, folks. Link below.
Aye, totally.
So do you get kind of excited about like a single release, or is it like a nervy thing, or is it like, it's just another single?
Right. It's a bit of a mixture of it all, right? So I think the nice position that I'm in is I don't think anybody will do a hatchet job on me.
Okay.
Because I'm socialised with any journalist to piss them off or to make them do that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
So if somebody gives me a bad review, it's like, fuck it. That's what it is. It's their review and they're entitled. You know what I mean? I'm not going to start being like, oh, they just don't get my stuff. It's just like, look, people like what they like. So I think like that gives me the feeling of like, well, it's just going to anyway. Because it's not up to me anymore. You know what I mean? It's like when you roll the ball down the hill, when you let it go and you can't catch it, it's just going to do what it's going to do.
Do its own thing,
Aye, absolutely. I mean, I do have this thing where I hope it's received the way I would like it to be received. So I get a wee bit, that sort of wee anticipation just to see what it comes back like. So I'm always interested, and I'm interested to see what happens once it comes out, because these things usually lead to you being asked to do other things, which are quite cool and exciting to do. You know what I mean?
Aye.
It's the what comes off it that I'm quite excited about. But as far as like being genuinely nervous, like, oh man, my life is going to be over if somebody says that, I got past that ages ago, because I've always thought like, and I was on a podcast this week. I think I came out today actually.
Right. Aye.
Jardines podcast. He's an author. Really clever guy. So the podcast went a bit better because of his ability, I think, to rein me in and explain what I was trying to say. He's just one of these good. But I had this like sort of thing that I explained on that, where, as an example, it's like I can't eat turnip to save myself, right?
Okay.
And I've got a lot of mental shit, right? But I just can't eat turnip. And I thought, like, because see, like as you're young, like when you're a kid, you go, I can't eat mushrooms because they didn't taste like strawberries. But as you get older, your palate changes.
That's
you know
right,
what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of done that thing, whereas I realised that I started trying foods that I never used to like mustard and stuff, and I fucking loved them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Done the same. Yeah.
So I then was like, I'm going to give the old turnip a bash, like, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, I just like my food with turnip. It's like I would just have this reaction to me. So if you asked me what I thought of turnips, I would say, well, they're shit. But the truth is that they're no shit. That turnip is fucking the best thing at being a turnip. Nothing could be a turnip better than it. I'm just into them. You know what I mean? So I get a bit like that with my music. It's like, well, I'm not going to put that out if I'm not happy with it.
Yes.
Like when people ask you to like review your own stuff, it's like, that's not up to me to review my own stuff. It's like, I think it's a bit like when you're like 20 and you think you invent shagging when you go out. And it's like waking up and going, I was a great ride last night. It's like, it's not that's somebody else fucking decides. You know what I mean? So it's like, I wouldn't put it out if I wasn't happy with it.
Yeah.
Everything that I make, I would always, it's as best as it could be at the time, because I always want to change things about stuff. It's just that thing. But it's like that reference to Stephen King. It's like he would say, if he always got to keep correcting Carrie, he would still be writing it. You know what I mean?
Right,
so a point. And I don't know if you know Alan Ramsey, but he's the guy that mixes all this stuff. And it kind of works a bit like a producer maybe as well, where he'll try stuff in the mixes, and sometimes they're like, well, that makes it sound a lot, but kind of like total left turns with it, like, you know what I mean? And sometimes it's like, oh, that's great, and sometimes it's no. And I always find if I just leave stuff with Alan, so you do what you want with it. I've already got my head how I want it to sound, but I'll leave you with it, rather than sitting over your shoulder going, oh, that tambourine sounds a bit like it was recorded in July. It should sound recorded in September. You know what I mean? I think if
autumn tambourine,
totally. If I just he'll throw me the stuff back, and somewhere in between is usually where the song should work. You let the song dictate how things should sit in it.
Right. Okay.
He's got this great thing where he's just like, Mike, I can give you a mix in that now, and you can do that stuff there. I can give you an air mix, and if you let somebody hear it, they'll think the two of them are the same mix. The song's done. So he forces me to draw a line and shit. You know what I mean? That's I'll be sitting in the house with a theremin. You know what I mean? Trying to, you know what I mean? Honestly, that's just ridiculous.
Got to be a better sound in there somewhere.
A part of it is because I enjoy the process. It's not something I never look at as work. I look at it as like it's just something I'm addicted to that I do anyway. Even, I mean, I've wrote and recorded shit that nobody will even hear. You know what I mean? But I'm constantly doing it, and I never feel disappointed if I get something that I'll not put out because I've enjoyed the process and I've learned something. I'll have days where I'll listen to something and go, maybe should have panned that shaker at the left.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the bottom line is, I've no excuses. And it's like, and as you grow with something, you've always got better ideas as time goes on. But sometimes the time's passed. It's like having regret you've not said something to someone. It's like the time's passed. It doesn't matter now. But at least you know now for the next time. I mean, so I do get that. I get that with everything that I make. But the bottom line is, the songs are this. If someone doesn't like it, I can't blame it on the recording or the mix, or that I never put this wee thing in it, because the song is the song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I wanted the volume down on a tambourine, it's not going to make somebody love it that thought it was shit. You know? So the songs are at that point. It's like they are pretty much what they should be. I would, me being me, I would still love to be fucking about with them forever. But
yeah,
here
aye,
you are. I mean,
aye.
that's what it is. You know what I mean?
There's not going to be anybody sitting with their headphones on thinking that tambourine shouldn't be in there. That's this song. That's shit, isn't it?
It's weird when you immerse yourself in stuff like that, though. Like, it's like you start to think that the smallest things are the most important. Where I do believe that, like, I think the fine details are what makes stuff. So I spend a lot of time trying to get wee parts that maybe someone will like hear on their seventh listen. They'll go, wait a minute,
Yes.
I've never noticed that thing
Yeah.
before. I like taking a lot of time to do
Right.
that,
Aye.
and I do it on purpose. Like, so I've done things where like there's whispering and everything, and you won't hear it, and eventually you hear it with a certain type of headphones. You'll be like, wait a fucking minute, there's somebody whispering.
Exactly.
So I quite like that because it gives you a new experience of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's funny you should say that because that's what I do. I listen to, like, if someone sends me like a song, I'm thinking, oh, brilliant, great. And then like the first listen, what you hear is like the melody and the riff and the top level sounds.
That's exactly that.
And then if you when you listen to, I always listen to things that at least 2 or 3 times in a row, and then you begin to hear like once you become a bit more familiar with the melody and the riffs, you hear the things that are underneath that. You hear some of the backing vocals, you hear some tiny little sounds that are going on in the background, that type of thing. And I love that. I love finding those things in there.
Exactly the same.
Aye.
They're like Easter eggs. You know what I mean? It's like they like. I mean, that was that thing. I mean, what's an example of a song? Like "Don't Look Back in Anger," right? Huge record, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody goes to the Imagine intro, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in the lead part and the end of it, it's only young. Is it only young dudes? David Bowie.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You hear it right as the song's finished. He's playing all the young dudes on the guitar, and I was like, "That's fucking great." You know what I mean? Like the fact that like the stereophonic's not up to me, up to you is basically the lead guitar like Eric Clapton's "Wonderful Tonight."
Okay. Yes.
You know, I don't know if they're done subconsciously or if they're done on purpose, but I fucking love all that. You know what I mean? The best band for it at the moment is like Queens of the Stone Age. They're like the masters of sneaking shit into their stuff. I think that they've got that to a level all of their own. You know what I mean?
You'll get back there. Even bands like Oasis did that blatantly as well sometimes.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? I think the intro to the Hindu Times is exactly the same as Same Size Feet by Stereophonics. It's exactly the same.
I'll tell you the best rip-off that Oasis ever fucking done. Right? Remember when they brought out their third album, the one that was like, that's the one that Don't Go Away's on, isn't it?
Yes.
I think that is a fucking incredible song. Like, I prefer listening to doing it on acoustic guitar, but it's such a beautifully written song. And that album to me is that song. I would buy the album just to get that song on it. It's fucking great. And the rest of it is generally background noise to me, if I'm honest with you, apart from a couple of wee bits here and there. But remember they brought out that, it was it Step Off the Train on do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yes. So I
remember
camping out doing Silverburn and everybody being like, I've got the new Oasis CD, and I listened to it. It's fucking Wonderwall. It's the same chords. I've got my guitar here, right? So I'm not going to sit and like play on it. Have I got a capo here, right? So if I take this and you go, I mean, you'll never catch me playing Wonderwall, right? But
oh no.
But same shit.
Same.
So they managed to take their biggest single, the thing that basically shot them into the stratosphere with people that weren't listening to them.
Aye.
And their very next album, the first thing they done was just brought out the same fucking tune. That's genius. You know what I mean? Absolute fucking genius.
Aye. I'd never even crossed my mind before that, to be honest.
I'm sure they're even in the same key. So I'm sure they've both got a capo and fret too. So it's like F sharp minor. I think they're both. I think it's the same thing.
Aye. So, So yes, sort of going back a little bit to what you were saying about your songwriting, and about what other people think about your stuff. Is that I write some reviews sometimes, and it's if if I wrote a review about everything that I receive, I'd be forever writing and doing it. So I have to kind of cherry pick things, and I've always said to people that I would never write like a bad review because I'm not a critic. I want to tell people how good things are. Do you know what I mean? Because I like it, and I want you to hear it, sort of thing. I want you to know about it, that type of thing. So I'm never ever going to write something that's like, this is a piece of shit. Just turn it off.
Just, you never know. You maybe just having a bad day. You know what?
Listen to something else.
To me, I've got that fucking CD that this guy sent me. He's getting it. You know what I mean?
No, but there are some things that get sent to me that it's just not my thing at all, and it's not that it's bad work. It's just that it's not for me. So
look,
do you know what I mean? And I've tended to, badly on my part, I suppose, is to either to just like put it to the side, or I'll maybe send it to someone who I know is into that kind of thing, and they can deal with it, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Mark, I mean, in the world in which you're working, I mean, that's a pretty honourable way to work. You know what I mean? It's because I mean, me, I hate saying the word. You know what? As I've heard everybody saying artist so much, I was ready to say me as an artist, and I'm not an artist. I mean, I can draw a dick on a bus stop. That's about it. I mean, but artiste. I'll get the curly look like the Pingleton. But the fact that like people like yourself take the time to write stuff, and like even you as a journalist, Mark, and a writer, it's like you popped up on the orders. You actually bought my record.
Yes.
I was like, right, one, that's really fucking nice. Why did you not just ask me for one? Because you know what I mean. So I thought that was really cool of you, man. Because a lot of journalists expect them for next, and I've had a couple of journalists buy my record, and I was like, what a nice gesture. Like I was kind of taken aback by that.
See, no, I would never ever ask people to. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had people giving me like gig tickets and T-shirts and all this kind of stuff, and whenever I can, I'll say like, no, just to take the money, because
something I would mind.
How why did you spend money on that merch and on those CDs and whatever, just to give them away to people like me? It doesn't make any sense. So you sort of take it, sort of thing. And I'm very, because I support kind of like I'll say support, but because I support like the more or less a local music scene, I've come across a lot of people who I know have put like their heart and soul into things and have spent their own money on like merch and stuff like that. It doesn't seem right to me to ask for, gonna give us a copy of your album because I wrote a 2 lines in a tweet about you like 3 months ago.
But that's that thing where it's like the cherry on top. So I mean, like when I was saying to you how like I just love the process. The fact that I'm doing all this stuff the news, all like this big bonus.
Yes.
It's no why I done it, but I just thought stuck to it. You know what I mean? That's the same thing where like you as a journalist having that attitude, that's a cherry on top, because most people don't. Can the fact that you're obviously just one of these people that's thoughtful about it,
right? Okay,
is good. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like journalists are only thoughtful, but it's no heard of commonly that a journalist will go, right, I'm going to write about this guy's record and I'm going to go and fucking buy it. That doesn't happen. You usually get sent it in order to write about it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So that to me, as somebody that's making music, that's another one of the things you go, cool, I've met a pretty sound guy here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, people do send me like their tracks and everything like that, but if it's something that I really want to have, I'll download it as well. You know what I mean? Because I might want to use it in a film or something like that, or you know what I mean, that kind of thing.
But it's like I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not. There's nothing bad at all about. I mean, see what it's like, right? A journalist buying your record is like you getting a taxi and the taxi driver paying you the money. You know what I mean? So it's like if I go and pay for a taxi that I'm getting, it's like, well, I've got what I want. I need to get home. He's been rewarded for it. He's been compensated for it. So it's like if I'm hoping to get write-ups or anything for anybody, then they get sent stuff. That's what happens. You go, like, would you like to write about this? And if they write about it, it's a bonus. But when they buy it and all, it's like, that's kind of
right.
No, I'm just letting you know, I appreciate it, man. It's a really nice gesture. Yeah.
It's I see. To me, it's about like I buy a reasonable amount of music, whether that be like stuff from years and years ago or new things. I tend not to buy CDs anymore from like really, really established artists and things like that. But if there's somebody that I like that has a CD out or whatever, I'll order it from them or you know, that type of thing. So it's to me, it's just a way of offering that sort of level of support wherever I can, that type of thing. What I would like to do at this point, okay, I'm going to ask, okay, this is just a little bit of sort of fun. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, okay? And I just want you to answer. I'm going to give you an option of like two things, and I just want you to answer like which one you prefer. KFC or Mackey's?
KFC.
Brewdog or Spoons?
Brewdog.
Hey. So films or TV?
Films. It depends. See, this is a complex one because we look at things, right? So if you're talking about TV, like going EastEnders, that can fuck off, right? But if you think you like TV where stuff is done like True Detective season 1's a good example of that.
Okay.
Right? I think that's better than a lot of films I've seen that have been really good films. You know what I mean? But you tend to find that quality work tends to come across in films more often than TV. So I would more go for a movie than a series. But if you get me the right series, I'm in there.
Okay. Are you the kind of person that just like dissects everything?
Listen, man. I've got mates to the point where they're just holding their heads, screaming into their fucking lap. You know what I mean? And all the vast mate have gone out. The night.
Right. Okay. Let's continue. So, films or TV, and then say like Marvel or DC.
Marvel.
Lift or stairs.
Lift. I'll not dissect it. There's so many variables.
Okay. Festival or venue?
Festival.
Beer or wine?
Beer.
Signed or unsigned?
See, that's got tons of things to take. There's
for yourself, that is.
For myself, I mean, well, at the moment, I'm liking the fact that I've got control over everything.
Yes.
And I've got the means to do what I'd pretty much be doing with a label behind me anyway. But what would be helpful is the right people at a right label that are smarter at making some decisions than I am. You know what I mean? So it's people's experience. So there's pros and cons that go with both. So I'm going to opt out of that question.
Right. Right. Okay, and the last one, singer or songwriter?
Songwriter, hands down.
Okay, cool. So that was the lightning round, which took about 45 minutes.
That was no lightning at all, was it? I was not dissecting some of the things you said. Like, wait a minute. I am a pissed in there.
That made me laugh. People normally go like,
like I'm actually see the fact that I can be positive with Brewdog and Spoons, right?
Yeah.
I'm not really into spoons. I'm actually into boycotting spoons because of the way that dickhead was behaving.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But I prefer drinking lager than like IPA.
Okay.
But I love Brewdog as a company. I think they've got a great ethos about them and everything. You know what I mean? So, not even the fact that I couldn't make my mind up about that. The fact that I know that I hesitated. What I know about the guy with spoons, I'm thinking, I need to explain myself. You know what I mean? My brain is fuck. It's ridiculous.
Oh dear. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. So, we're looking to kind of like wrap this up a little bit. The album is out at the end of March. How do we get a hold of the album if we want one?
Well, if you want a physical of the album, there's a limited number of 12-inch vinyls, delicious 12-inch vinyls. Eat it.
Tasty.
That they're getting sold through Bandcamp exclusively. You get the album for free as a download with that anyway. And I'm going to drag the release date forward maybe a day or two, so as one kind of thanks to anybody that does that, because that's what's going to fund me for my next album if people buy enough of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then other than that, I'll be in all the usual channels, so on Spotify or whatever it's going to be.
And again, it's relatively rare for like a relatively new artist to be releasing an album like on vinyl relatively quickly for your like your initial release, which is really cool as well. So I'm really looking forward to hearing the songs on there, and we're going to wish you good luck with the new single. We shall one day be in the same room together.
You'll be like, wait a minute, I can't get away from him. I can't pretend, man.
So you're the guy that's got the story about the turnips, isn't it? So you hear a voice from the crowd, tell the turnip story.
The thing is, Upper Pfeiffer, you know what I mean? It's like, who threw the turnip? I'm like, wait a minute. You know what I mean?
Aye. Right, okay, so that's been really great. Thanks very much for joining in.
Sure, man.
It's been nearly, it's been an hour, really, isn't it? What time's it? So thanks again for joining in.
Anytime, man.
It's been really cool. It's just me. I keep doing that. I keep referring to me as we.
That's all right though. You can diminish your responsibility for stuff as well.
I do that on my post as well. I write like our instead of my, and we instead of I.
That's cool.
Just to make it sound like I'm in a gang. I don't know.
That's
it. So you've released some really cool stuff so far. We're looking forward to the album as well next month. So thanks very much.
Cheers, man.
Yeah.
Anytime, bud.